Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Keegan. This video, I'm going to talk about all the rods that I own and my thoughts about them in the 330 centimeter, which is about 11 feet, up to 360 centimeter, which is about 12 feet range. I'm the guy that kind of obsesses about stuff and has to try everything out before deciding on what are my favorites and then paring the collection down. So there's a big rod sell-off coming sometime in my future, but for now, you can be the beneficiary of me owning way too many rods. But I find these videos very helpful when people talk about the rods and you can see people fish them when you're making a decision about a rod that you can't just walk into Walmart and try out. So I hope this helps you. If not, sorry to have wasted your time. So I store all of my rods in two of these. This is the Zimmer-built rod roll, and he can make these in different colors. Each roll can store about 16 rods, so you really only need one of these. I happen to need two of them. I have one of them for small rods, one of them for large rods, but they're very lightweight. You can put a sling strap around it so you can carry it. I just store everything in here, so if I ever need to grab them, I can just grab these two rolls and I know I have all the rods that I own in one place. So these are fantastic. Check them out, Zimmer-built. All right, so let's get into today's rods. So 330 to 360, and these are kind of arbitrary lines. I mean, the difference between 330 and 360 is this much, so it's like a foot. I mean, that's the difference between like choking up on the handle and not. So they're somewhat arbitrary lines. But I did a video on long rods, which was 395 and above. Go check that out. I did a video on about 320, like 310 to 320 centimeter rods. Then I'll do another video that's 300 centimeters and under, like very short rods, small stream rods. And this is sort of the normal length rod. When people think about a normal Tenkara rod, it's about 12 feet, 11 feet. So let's dive right in. First rod I want to talk about is this Nirvana Kokoro 360. So Dragon Tail is a company that sells Tenkara rods, and they're largely made in China, and their sort of higher end brand is Nirvana, and they are making these rods in Korea with Japanese carbon fiber. And their goal is to make a rod that competes with Japanese rods, and they have crushed it. Look at my other videos for my reviews of this Kokoro line, but it's really, really good. It compares best to a Nissin Zerosum in the, I would say the 7.3 flex. It's a little softer than the 7.3, but not as soft as the Nissin 6.4. This is a fantastic all-around rod. It'll throw unweighted kabari and dry flies. It'll throw bead heads. It's got a smooth casting action. Plus, if you're here in the United States, it has the benefit of if you break a rod, the rod or a section, you can get a spare part very easily. You don't have to pay shipping from Japan, stuff like that. This rod costs about $250, but it's often on sale for $220. So go check that out. It's at the Dragon Tail site. Love this thing. Second rod I'll talk about is this TenkaraBum 36. So TenkaraBum is the nickname of Chris Stewart, who is one of the like original Tenkara, what should you call them, mavens here in the US. So in 2009 or 2008, he was already into it. And he worked with Suntech to design the TenkaraBum line of rods. And so this is the Suntech TenkaraBum 36. It is a very lightweight rod. It is an all-around rod. It sort of does everything well, just like the Kokoro does. It has a foam grip instead of the cork, but it's super light in terms of its swing weight. And I would say it's a little more tip flex than the Kokoro. This is just a really, really excellent all-around rod. Now, it remains to be seen. Chris TenkaraBum has retired or not retired, and it remains to be seen whether Suntech will continue to make these rods, and maybe you'll have to get them directly from Japan. Unclear, but it's a fantastic rod, and it's a rod that's highly spoken of by anyone that fishes it, so great rod. The TenkaraBum 36 comes in at around 200 bucks if you can get your hands on it, so availability is kind of a question mark about that one. Next rod I will talk about is the Air Stage Fujiryu. I love this line of rods. Again, it's a Nissin rod. I find that I really like Nissin products. They're Japanese, it's a Japanese company. I love these rods. Aesthetically, I think it's one of the most beautiful rods. It's this deep maroon color. It shimmers in the sun. It has a wooden cypress handle, which is just incredibly comfortable. They make two actions of this rod, a 5.5 flex, which is more flexy, and a 6.4 flex, which is stiff. And what's interesting about the Fujiryu rods is the 5.5 is very flexy and the 6.4 is very stiff. So there's a big gap between them. Some rods, if you try the 6.4 and the 7.3, they're closer. So this 5.5 360 is a very smooth casting stroke. It's very soft. When you fight a fish, you can really, it's going all over the place, which makes it really fun and pleasurable to use. But if you're in a tight creek and you need to immediately gain control of a big fish so it doesn't shoot under cover or tangle you in a tree overhead, the 5.5 is a little bit loose for that. So the 6.4 version is much stiffer, and it's great for throwing bead heads. It's a great nymphing rod when you want to really have a direct connection, and it's great for when you immediately need to control the fish and steer it really well. Better on bigger fish as well. So if you're targeting smaller fish, maybe go for the 5.5. If you're targeting bigger fish, the 360 is fantastic. And this whole line is really great. I'll talk about the 330 in a sec, but also they make a 410, which is in the 6.4 Flex, is a fantastic nymphing rod as well. So Air Stage Fujiryu, I love these rods. The other thing I love about them is they're pretty small pack size. They're just a fantastic rod. These can often be found on eBay or Amazon for pretty cheap, like under 200 bucks. I think I bought one of these for 165 and the other one for 170, so pretty affordable as well. You can't go wrong with an Air Stage Fujiryu rod. Okay, so now on to another Nissin product. This is the Nissin Prospec Two-Way 7.3. So it's a 360 rod, but their two-way designation means you can fish it at two lengths. So this is a 360, but you can also fish it at a 310. So it's a zoom rod, and it's got two settings. You'll see right here, you can fish it here, or you can fish it like that, and then obviously extend the rest of the rod. So what I like about this rod is, first of all, it's inexpensive. If you're looking for a Japanese rod from a great company and it's a great rod, but you don't want to break the bank, I think this cost me 125 bucks. And again, if you find Amazon or whatever, you can find deals on these rods. But it's got a Japanese feel, it's got a nice cork handle, it's light in the hand, all the great things about Japanese rods. And this one just is an inexpensive version of that. And secondly, the two settings are great. If you're fishing a 310 rod, you're thinking about a small creek where you might not have a lot of casting space. But often on those creeks, you'll open up into a big wide pool and you'll be like, I wish I had a longer rod. Well, you do. You just zoom it out to 360, maybe even throw in a longer line, and you're already fishing and you've got one rod. So I love this rod for its versatility. I really like zoom rods for that purpose. They're just versatile. It's nice. And I don't think zoom rods, this is an aside, but I don't love zoom rods that are like 3-way zoom, 4-way zoom, 10-way zoom. You really only need two settings, a long setting and a short setting in a zoom rod. But anyway, the other thing I like about this rod is it's great for kids. If you want a Japanese rod that's not that expensive, if you break it, you're not going to break the bank. This is a great kids rod, simply because kids are just learning and they might abuse it, they might break it, but it's still a really nice rod and they can get a good feel for what a good rod feels like. This is the 7.3 Flex. I think they also make a 6.4 Flex, but I like the 7.3 because it casts really well. But again, a lot of my creeks that I fish are small and I need to immediately control the fish. And I find the 7.3 is better at that. It's not great for tiny fish. It really does kind of, once you get past the flexible tip sections, it's got a lot of backbone, and so you're kind of like wrenching on these small fish, but it feels great in the 8 to 12 inch fish range. It's really good. So go check that out. Prospec Two-Way. Nice, cheap Japanese rod, very versatile. Okay, so moving down in size from 360 or 12 feet, this one's 354, which is pretty much the same, but 11.7 feet. And this is a new rod I just tested out and I love it. This is the Keiryu Rod Co MiniMax. And you can see it is a pocket rod. There are a lot of rod companies that say they make a pocket rod, but the rod ends up being this big and it's like, no, you don't, pockets aren't that big. This is how big a pocket is. So I really like a pocket rod, if you're gonna call it that actually fits in a pocket. And this form factor reminds me of the Nissin Tenkara Mini, and I have that in the 320, so I don't have that to show you today, but they also make a 360 version of that. And I was able to test this rod from the Keiryu Rod Company, which is an American-based company. They manufactured the rod in China, but they use Japanese carbon, and they had really good oversight, so it is really a nice rod. And I fished it, check my other videos, against the Nissin Tenkara Mini 360, so negligible difference in length. But I actually preferred this one because it was a little bit softer in the top third of the rod. When you make a rod that's a pocket rod like this, inevitably it has to have a ton of sections. So this one has 20 sections. And when you have this many sections, the bottom sections have to be quite thick and stout simply to fit all the other sections in the rod. And so it's very hard to make a pocket rod with small sections still be flexible and cast well. And they've done a great job with this rod. It is nice and flexible. I prefer the casting stroke over the Tenkara Mini from Nissin with the same form factor. This is a great, great rod. If you're looking for a full-size pocket rod, because a lot of pocket rods are like very, very short, simply because it is hard to make one with a lot of sections that's long enough that still casts well. If you're looking for a pocket rod that's full-size, This thing is great. It's on pre-sale right now, I think for like 150. Full price will be around 200, which is a very fair price for this rod. I love this thing and they're not paying me to say that. Go check out my other videos, Keiryu Rod Co MiniMax. Excellent. The one caveat is I haven't been able to catch big fish on it yet, so I'm not sure what sort of, it does really well in the 6 to 10. I'm sure it'll handle a 12-inch fish just fine, but I haven't really pushed the limits of it, so stay tuned for that. Next up, I want to talk about my favorite rod of all the rods I have ever fished. It's kind of like the Lord of the Rings. This would be my one rod to rule them all. This is the Oni Itoshiro. This is a 340 centimeter rod. It's an Oni rod, so Tenkara no Oni is a Japanese master fisherman, and he manufactures rods. The Type 1 is the 400 length version of this same blank. Basically, it's the exact same rod as the Oni Type 1, which is legendary. I would say it's the best casting rod in the world, and so is this one for its length. This is one blank shorter, so the 400 is just another 2 feet longer. So the version I have of the Itoshiro has a bamboo grip. The stock version has a foam grip. Oni hand selects these pieces of bamboo and even carves notches which your fingers kind of magically find. And it is a little bit heavier than the foam grip version, but all that weight is in the handle, so it doesn't make it feel tip heavy, and the rod doesn't feel heavy in hand at all. It's very lightweight, it's very nimble. The balance is insane. It has the same very flexible tip sections that the Type 1 does, and it's meant for casting a light level line and fly without weight. So it's not great for beadheads. If you like casting beadheads, stay tuned, I'll talk about the next rod. But this is the best casting rod. It's just mind-boggling. It's a tiny little motion with your hand from here to here, and it's like throwing darts. The line just gets, and you can pinpoint accuracy, I mean, within inches of exactly where you want the fly to go. It's an absolute joy to fish. If I could only have one Tenkara rod, the Oni Itoshiro 340 would be it. And I would choose this rod even over the Type 1 simply because I have smaller streams, so the shorter rod fits my streams better. I can't say anything bad about this rod. It's unbelievable. If you haven't fished an Oni rod and you want sort of the pinnacle of casting, get an Itoshiro or get a Type 1 if you have larger water, or get a Oni Kokoro 290 if you have smaller water. That'll come in the next video. They're just phenomenal, phenomenal rods. So I can't recommend that enough. Oh, and just as an aside, I'm going to put a link in the description to me fishing these rods if I have a full video of me fishing them, because I fish this rod a lot. And yeah, it's great. Also, the other thing to say is the tip is very flexible, so that helps with effortless casting, but there's still a lot of backbone in the rod, so once you hook a fish, you can still steer it really easily. My friend regularly catches 14-inch fish on his Type 1, and I've caught 14-inch fish on this rod, no problem. But if you're targeting larger fish or you want to throw heavy bead heads, this is not the right tool for that job. And what the right tool for that job would be this. This is the Nissin Oni Zerosum Honryu 7.3 345. So Oni partnered with Nissin to make this line of rods, sort of targeted at people who wanted to catch larger fish, the American market. And he's got the 395, the 345, 295, and I have all three of those rods, and they're all phenomenal. It still shares that beautiful casting. It's not quite as effortless as a Type 1 or an Itoshiro, but it's a beautiful casting stroke. It's very lightweight in the hand. The difference is it does have a cork grip. Oni's rods, in terms of the Type 1, the Type 3, the Itoshiro, those are all foam grip rods. This one has a cork grip, which I prefer. And you'll be able to throw bead heads easier and more effectively, and you'll be able to wrangle slightly larger fish. So if you want a rod, and it'll handle small fish just as well. The casting isn't quite as mind-blowing, but it's still great compared to almost any other rod you'll fish. The Oni magic sauce, whatever that is, in these Nissin Zerosum rods, it's fantastic. So you can't go wrong with that. It's 345, that's a good size. The 395 is an excellent rod in the longer version, and this rod is just the same. It's fantastic. So check that out. This is the Nissin partnership with Oni. And what was the price for this? What did I pay for this? So I paid $210 for this, and that's about the same price as the Itoshiro base model, right around 200 bucks. So both of these Onis, these get just top marks. If you're looking for one rod in this size range, you just can't go wrong with either of these. If you have smaller fish and you're gonna be casting unweighted flies, you probably choose the Itoshiro. If you've got larger fish or you like fishing with bead heads, then I would go with the Zerosum version. And now we get into the slightly shorter rods. So that was 360, 350, 345. Now there's a couple 330 rods, which is kind of a great length. It's long enough that you have enough reach and you're not spooking fish, but it's small enough that if you choke up on a 330 rod, you can still fish it like it's a 300 rod. Remember, that's only that much difference. So all you have to do to make your 330 rod into a 300 rod is do this, and you're fishing a 300 rod. So it's a really good size for small streams. You have a little bit of reach, but you can also choke up when you need it to be shorter. So the first 330 rod I'll talk about is the Air Stage Fujiryu. Again, I love this series. I love these rods. I love the wooden handle. And the 330 rod I have in the 5.5 flex. And I like it a lot in the 5.5 flex. I like it actually a little bit more than the 360 in the 5.5 flex. Simply because it's a shorter rod, it doesn't flex quite as much as the 360. And I find I can control the fish a little bit better than with the 360 in the same flex. It's a great rod, and this has silky smooth casting stroke. I've thrown bead heads with it without problem, but it is best with a light line and a light fly. But it's a fantastic rod. You can't go wrong. The Air Stage Fujiryu rods are fantastic. The next rod I'm going to show you is this one, but this is not the actual rod. This is the Kurenai HM30. But I have on order the HM33, and I'll talk to you a little bit about the Kurenai line of rods. This is a Suntech rod. These rods are insanely lightweight. So this is the 300 centimeter, and it weighs less than an ounce. It's like conducting an orchestra with a baton or casting a chopstick or like your Harry Potter. It just weighs nothing. It's incredibly light in the hand. It's just some of the lightest rods out there. And they're very sensitive, and so they're fantastic for small fish. This is the 300 length, and actually they used to make the HM series and the H series, but now it's the AR series. So if you go looking for a Kurenai, you're gonna be looking for the AR, and then 30, which is the short one, 33, and then they have a 39, and they have a 45. And I actually have the 45, and I'll tell you why I love these rods. They're great for small fish. Sometimes when you're fishing for small fish with a more robust rod, you hook set and the fish just comes rocketing out and you feel like you might rip the fish in half. It just doesn't, it's not as fun as if the fish can stay on the water and fight a little bit and you can control it. It's just a more fun way to bring the fish in than just being like boop and like ripping its jaw apart as you take it out of the water. And if you're doing that with the rod might be made for larger fish. But these rods are fantastic for small fish. Really small fish are super, super fun on these Kurenai rods. The tip is insanely thin and insanely flexible. And so what I love these rods for is when I go to a stream and I know I'm catching really small fish, you just can't beat a Kurenai rod. You can't beat it. This is the 300, like I said, sitting in for the 33 that hasn't arrived yet. I ordered it from Japan. But the 300 is great for small streams, and I'll talk about that in the small, the very small rod video. But I wanted to show you what it looks like. It doesn't have any grip. It just has sort of a textured plastic, but it's just a bare blank, which keeps it very, very light and very sensitive. Now, my preference is if it's a tiny rod and it's very lightweight, holding it, with just your fingertips works. But I also have the 450 centimeter. Look at my other videos for that. And when it's that big and there's more of a swing weight, I actually add like a tennis overgrip to this so it's thicker so I can get a better purchase on it. My favorite use of these Kurenai rods is the High Sierra here in California. I love fishing the streams in the High Sierra, and up there all the fish they're not that big. They don't get bigger than 12 inches. And there's not a lot of trees because I often go to elevation above 10,000 feet. And so these rods are perfect because you can have a lot of fun with small fish, but there's a surprising amount of backbone once you have to steer the fish as it gets down the rod. And with that 450, you can be really far away in these little meadows, these little streams that cut through meadows at 10, 11,000 feet, and you can be targeting these tiny little fish, golden trout or little tiny rainbows or brookies up there from far away so you're not spooking them, and there's no reason not to have a really long rod because there's casting space. So that's why I'm getting the 33, because I want a little bit more reach than this 300 has, but specifically for small streams where I know there's small fish, the Kurenai is the best tool in my opinion. It's a very specific tool for a specific task, but you wouldn't want to accidentally hook a 16-inch fish with this rod because you will break it. So it's rated for 7x tippet. I think the new ones might be rated for 6x tippet, but they're small fish rods and they cast insanely well and they're insanely fun. Okay, so I've got two more rods to talk about. This is a very interesting rod. This is the Seiyu Therapy rod. So this is a 330, and this was developed by Anthony Parmenter, who is a therapist specializing in trauma. He's a US military veteran, and he does therapy on stream in the outdoors with clients. And he developed this rod to aid in the on-stream therapy. He chose Tenkara for his on-stream therapy for its simplicity. He could put a rod in someone's hand, and within minutes they're casting well and they can get on with the therapy, and the rod sort of stays out of the way. So he designed this rod, Japanese carbon. I think it's made in, I'm not sure where the factory is, but he designed it, and it's a beautiful, beautiful rod. I'm not sure the availability. He uses these with his clients, and then he's able to give them to his clients. But it's a wonderfully designed rod from the tip cap to the base. It's just the fit and finish is really nice. The 330 size is kind of perfect for someone who's new because you can learn to cast it well. It has enough reach, but it's not huge and unwieldy. It has some specific therapy touches on it, like these 2 black marks I know he uses in his eye movement EMDR therapy with clients. And it has a built-in line winder system. So these 2 little tabs here, you can wind the line right on the rod. And he designed this all to make it easy with his clients that he's helping. And it's just a wonderful thing. And I think even more than this rod, just the fact that we can use fly fishing to help people in therapy with trauma, I think it's just fantastic. So I'm not sure if this rod's even available, but I wanted to make sure to highlight it. The action is great. It works well. It's a great rod. I let my son use it often because it's an easy rod to just pick up and use. So Seiyu Therapy, if you're interested more in on-stream therapy, get in touch with Anthony. He's really cool. He's based in Vermont, but he travels. And I'll put a link to his website in the description as well. Okay, so the final rod I will talk about is the TenkaraBum 33. Some rods are very much the same, like the Nissin Air Stage Fujiryu 360 and the 330-55. Possibly they just subtracted a segment and there's the rod. The action feels very much the same. The application is the same. I haven't fished the 33 yet, but from what I read on Chris Stewart's, that's TenkaraBum, on his website, it doesn't fish exactly like the 36. It's more like a short, big fish rod. So it's a very beefy rod, able to handle big fish, and it's shorter. So the TenkaraBum 33, I think, would probably be really well suited for if you have a small stream where you don't have a lot of casting space, but you got big fish to deal with. And I'm excited about that because I do have some of those locations in mind. But I haven't fished it yet, but it's another TenkaraBum offering, and all of their rods are fantastic, so I can't see it being anything but. You can read more about that. But I think the difference is really the 36 is a more all-around rod and handles the small fish, and they're still fun, whereas the 33 I think is more robust and might be a great choice if someone's doing carp even, or, well, listen, I'm not a carp fisherman, don't take my word for that, but bass or warm weather species, this might be a more robust rod where you don't have to worry about breaking it on those bigger fish. So there's only one other rod I want to talk about, and I don't have it yet. It is the Anglo & Company Wasabi 36. This is the Anglo & Company Wasabi 32, and I love this rod. I love this rod. I would be hard pressed to leave this rod at home if I had to only choose one, and I chose the Itoshiro because I would. The Wasabi 36 is this is the 32. I don't have the 36 yet. It's fantastic. I love, 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 love it. It is a beautifully designed rod. It has this deep olive green blank. It's very simple. The handle is perfect. The balance is very light. The casting is amazing. It has a 7.3 action, which I love. I just love this Wasabi. If I could, this is my favorite 32, so 320 centimeter rod, for sure, by a mile. I love this rod. So I'm waiting to order the 36 when it comes back in stock from Anglo & Co. They're a very small shop in Japan. They get the blanks and then they do everything else on the rod themselves. I also just love supporting really small businesses like that. And so I'm very excited to get the Wasabi 36. I've heard that it fishes incredibly. They make three sizes, the 32, the 36, and the 40. So that's 320 centimeters, 360 centimeters, and 400 centimeters. People love the 32 and the 36. The rumor on the street is that the 400 is a little bit tip heavy. It's not quite as good as some other rods, but I'm very excited to get the 36. If you have a 36 for sale, let me know and I'll take it off your hands today. Anyway, so that's the one rod that I have on this list that I'm not able to talk about because I haven't fished it yet. I don't have it yet, but I'm very excited about it, and I know it's going to be great. Okay, so let's do some final recommendations. If you're in the US and you want to support an American company and you don't want the hassle of ordering from overseas or the shipping fees or whatever your reason is, the rod I would recommend in this segment is the Kokoro 360. It is an American-based company. They're in Idaho, and it's Dragon Tail. It's a guy named Brent. I know him. He's nice. I like supporting nice people, and the rod is fantastic. It performs. If you were blindfolded, you would not know the difference between this rod and a Zerosum, which is a Nissin Zerosum. It's a legendary rod. People love it, right? So this is a fantastic rod if you want a Japanese-esque experience from an American company. And the price is good, around a little bit more than 200 bucks. That's great. Now, if you're on a budget, I don't have this rod, but people talk about it all the time, and it's the Dragon Tail Shadowfire. And that is their 12-foot, 360-centimeter rod. I think it's like under 100 bucks. And people love that rod. I've never fished it. I can't talk about it. This is going to be the kind of like premium version of that. So if you're in the US and you want availability of parts and all that stuff, this is a fantastic rod. Staying here in the US and you want a pocket rod that is also full size, this Keiryu Rod Co MiniMax is amazing. And it fills, I think, a hole that the only other rod that competes with this is the Nissin Tenkara Mini 36, and that's hard to get. You have to get it from Japan. If you break a spare part, you got to pay 30 bucks for the section plus 30 bucks for shipping from Japan, if you can even get it. Keiryu Rod Co is based in California. It ships with an extra tip section. Just like when you buy the rod, you get one of those automatically. They have a lifetime warranty. It's just fantastic. So if you want a pocket rod that is full size, 354 centimeters or something, this is fantastic. If you're a backpacker, look at my other videos. I can mount it on a backpack strap right here with a little bungee cord with the line wound on it and just take it off, be fishing, don't have to take your backpack off. Put it back on, or just put it in your pocket. I mean, fantastic. I really am excited about this rod. And again, no one's paying me to say any of this stuff. I just say what I like, and you can decide. If you're looking for a premium Japanese rod in this segment, the TenkaraBum rods are insanely good, but the availability is a big question mark. The Air Stage Fujiryu rods are, I've seen them most of the time they're available. I'm not sure who carries them here in the States. I know some people do. I think Tenkara Adventure Outfitters might get your Google on, but you can often get these eBay, Amazon. They're easy to get, and they're just fantastic. You cannot go wrong with an Air Stage Fujiryu. If you want the one rod to rule them all, go buy an Itoshiro. Same thing as I said in my long rod review, if you want the best casting rod on earth, just go buy a Type 1 and thank me later. Same thing, if you want a shorter version of the Type 1 and the casting will just blow your socks off, get an Itoshiro. If you have bigger fish, this isn't the rod for you. So get the Honryu, there's so many words in this name. Nissin Honryu Oni 73 Zerosum, anyway, whatever. If you have bigger fish, but you still want that Oni magic, get this one. It's also fantastic. And deals can be had on these if you look around. If you got tiny little fish and you want to have the most fun possible, get a Kurenai. Get the Kurenai 33. It's fantastic. It's so much fun with small fish. So that's it. Those are my thoughts. Again, these are just my opinions. These are the rods that I have. These are the rods that I like. This is by no means an exhaustive list. Feel free to tell me what rod you love in the comments. Let's argue about it. I love that. My goal with these videos is to put this information out so you can then compare it to what other people say and make an informed decision about what rod you might want or what direction you might want to go with your next purchase. So thanks for tuning in. Stay tuned because I've got in the works that small under 300 centimeter rod video. I am also going to do Tenkara for backpackers and Tenkara for beginners. I'm excited about that one, but it's got a lot of moving parts. I hope it to be sort of a soup to nuts if you know nothing about Tenkara to get you started. So keep your eyes open for those videos. Subscribe if you haven't, tell your friends, and I'll see you in the next one.